In this presentation, we're going to be talking about benchmarking your school's energy performance in Energy Star's Portfolio Manager. Now we're on step 1 right now, which is gather data on space use attributes. Part 2, interviews and observations. These are the 8 space attributes that you find in a K-12 school space. In this presentation, we're going to look at 5 of them. The other 3 we've already discussed in a different presentation. You might find it useful to make up a checklist for these. You would include in the checklist, is it a high school? Is it open on weekends? Are there cooking facilities? How many walk-in freezer refrigerator units are there if it does have a cooking facility? And the number of PCs. Let's look at some definitions to make sure we're on the right track. The first term we're going to look at is K-12 space. A K-12 space is a building that houses any grade, kindergarten through 12th grade. Also, the total gross floor area should include all supporting functions, not just classrooms and laboratories. It should include admin space, conference rooms, kitchens used by staff, your teachers' lounges, lobbies, cafeterias, gymnasiums, auditoria, portables, greenhouses, stairways, atria, elevator shafts, storage sheds. I think you get the idea. All of these things go into making one K-12 space. Now, it does not include vocational, technical, or trade schools, and it does not include preschool or daycare centers. However, if at least 75% of the floor area is dedicated to students in kindergarten through 12th grade, then you could have some of those other spaces included, as long as it's not more than 25%. Now, another interesting thing about the K-12 space is the buildings that are included in one school. The term campus in Portfolio Manager has a specific meaning, but it does not apply in the K-12 space. Now, we know that the K-12 space includes all the supporting functions, gymnasiums, cafeterias, the media center. But sometimes in a school we find these are housed in separate buildings on the school property. But since we consider them all part of one school space, we don't use the term campus for those buildings on the school property. The term campus in Portfolio Manager applies to colleges, universities, or a collection of governmental buildings located within the same geographical area. Now, a high school. That term specifically means if grades 10, 11, and or 12, in other words, any one of them or all of them is taught in the school, then it is considered a high school. All right, so let's take a little test here. Is a combination middle school, high school considered a high school? Yes, as long as the high school has grades 10, 10 and 11, 10, 11, or 12, or any combination, then it is a high school. How about a school that has only grades 7 through 10? Yes, because it has 10th grade. That makes it a high school. Now, what about a school that only has grade 9 in it? Now, normally grade 9 is your freshman year in high school. No. Sorry, guys. Portfolio Manager does not consider 9th grade to be part of a high school. That's our explanation of a high school. The next term is open on weekends. If the building is normally opened at all on weekends, then we're going to answer this question as yes, it is open on weekends. It could be either Saturday or Sunday or both days. It doesn't matter. Now, examples of space uses that count are things like classes, Let's say additional classes are being held. Maybe there's a performance in the cafeteria or in the auditorium, or there's a sports event in the gymnasium. Sometimes the community uses the school. Sometimes churches like to use the cafeteria or the auditorium on the weekends. There may be clubs that want to use the school for some reason on the weekends. Any of those things make it count as open on weekends. Now, examples of space uses that would not count. Let's say the maintenance department has a big project to fix something and they're going to do it on the weekend. That doesn't count. Or the custodial department has a big cleaning project. They're going to strip the floors in the cafeteria over the weekend. That doesn't count. And there might be some kind of security operation going on over the weekend. That doesn't count either. It's probably going to be pretty easy to tell if it has cooking facilities. But if you're not familiar with the school, you may want to go back and just double check. Cooking facilities in Portfolio Manager means a kitchen that prepares student meals on site. So if it doesn't have that, then it's not considered having a cooking facility. Now it may have teacher lounges where there's a microwave oven and a refrigerator and a place to prepare your food. That doesn't count as a cooking facility. Galleys, just food preparation areas without a stove or an oven, or vending machines, none of these count as cooking facilities. Now, if it does have a cooking facility, it's a good chance it has a walk-in refrigerator or freezer unit. Now, we're talking about large ones, not the ones like in your kitchen where you open the door, reach in your hand, pull out what you need, and close the door. These are so large that you actually have to walk into them, get what you need, and walk out. So if you have these large refrigerator freezer units, you would count the number of them, and that's what is entered into Portfolio Manager. Now you're usually going to find them located attached to or near the kitchen cafeteria area of the school. Now this last one, number of PCs, is probably the most involved of all of them. We are going to have to go through the entire school and count the number of computers. This includes computers used in classrooms, laboratories, computers used in the admin offices, in break rooms, in server rooms, even laptops that are principally used at school, regardless of whether they're taken home at night or not. So you might find it useful to get yourself a little plan of the building showing all the rooms. Then you can go through, find the rooms that are most easily accessible. Typically your classrooms will be open, so you can just go in there and count them if you go after school, for example. But then you're going to find there's rooms that are locked, and so you'll have to go back and make arrangements to get somebody to let you in, or at least give you the count of the number of computers that are in these rooms. So you total them all up. In this case, we counted 98 PCs in the school, and that's the number that gets entered into Portfolio Manager. Here's an example of a checklist that we did for Greenway Elementary School. Is it a high school? No. Is it open on weekends? Turns out that it's not. Does it have cooking facilities? Yes, it does. And it has one walk-in freezer and one walk-in refrigerator. And how many PCs? Well, we just counted. It has 98 PCs. So this concludes our presentation on space attributes of your school that you can obtain using interviews and observations at your school.